Welcome to another edition of Wayne's Music World. Wanted to check in with all of you all today regarding Talking Heads. As you know, Talking Heads has had all of their albums reissued multiple times. They're a rare example of an art rock band, I guess you could say, that broke through to the mainstream. They were influenced by bands like Roxy Music, the Velvet Underground, even their contemporaries television had a influence on them. Interesting band. David Byrne is brilliant, and there's no doubt that the rest of the band members are great at supplementing his vision as a songwriter. He has continued on with his solo career. Jerry Harrison recently did a tour for Remain in Light for its anniversary, which was a series of great shows done with Adrian Belew, who played on that album. There really haven't been, though, a lot of deluxe editions that have come out for the band itself. The earliest deluxe edition that we had was the brick box set that had each one of their individual albums and an individual holder that had on dual discs that had a DVD side that had a high resolution mix of the album 5.1, and then on the flip side the CD version of that along with bonus tracks. The problem with this design was that, of course, there was no place to really put your fingers when you needed to take it in and out. You could very carefully, do it from the hub and from the edge if you needed to, but it's more likely than not that you would get fingerprints all over it. The other issue is that a lot of these dual discs were not rated for being Red Book compatible, so sometimes CD players would not play them properly. And I had a couple of DVD players at the time that had a couple of issues and a couple of hiccups in the process, but the DVD side also had video as well, which was kind of nice to have. It's not the ideal set, to be perfectly frank with you, because the mastering on it is very loud and compressed, but for the content itself, it's actually pretty good to have. Now, though, these are being supplemented by deluxe editions. Last year in September, we got the first release, which was Talking Heads 77, which has the original album plus a disc of rarities, as well as a live show that is included. And Rhino's getting with the program here. They included a high-res Blu-ray that had Atmos mixes on it. As you can see here from the actual insert that was on the back, I always save these puppies. And I also include the hype stickers and put them on the back of it. It has quite a bit of material. There's the hype sticker. This is a nice set. My only issue with it is that I think Ted Jensen is their preferred mastering engineer, and Ted's done some great work in the past. He does what his clients ask him to do, which is, in this case, Talking Heads asked them, I guess, according to a source I have at Rhino, to master it with compression and some EQ choices that make it pretty aggressive. There's nothing wrong with having dynamic range, folks. I mean, dynamic range gives more depth. It gives more separation of the instruments. It makes it sound less muddy to me and on my system. I think that Ted does use too much compression on the deluxe editions that we've gotten, and it continues the trend of essentially damaging the content. It's not as bad here. These are actually probably comparable, maybe a little bit less aggressive than the work that was done on the brick set. So the original CDs themselves, I hate to say this, they're my preferred versions for the actual albums because they sound more organic, they sound warmer, and they sound more natural. They may not have always had the best source, but the mastering was spot on. So now we have a second set that's been released, and this is More Songs About Building Some Food, which is one of my favorite albums. It had their breakthrough hit, and actually I saw them in Sproul Plaza in Berkeley in 1978, and that show is included here, which is nice. But this set, like the previous set, is handsomely designed. The difference here is that unlike the previous Talking Head 77 set, which has them on little hubs inside, recessed inside the cardboard, which I really, really dislike because over time those things are likely to break down and the discs can just become loose. These actually have individual wallet sleeves for them, which is an improvement on the design. And they did a really good job in the design of this. There's got some great pictures, comments from the various members of the band. For each one of these sets, There's no essay from, well, Brian Eno wasn't involved in the first set for Talking Head 77 because he didn't produce them yet. But for this set, Brian Eno is not part of the group that provides a commentary about the making of the album. Tina, Jerry, Chris, and David all get their say on it, which is really nice. And there's just some interesting tidbits about the recording sessions at Compass Point. This is a great set. Again, the mastering is a little bit problematic. For those of you that are sensitive to compression, it's something to bear in mind. I'm not a big fan, like I said before, of using compression, digital compression. These are actually, I think, slightly better than the brick releases, as I mentioned, for this set as well. What's really essential here, though, is the content, which is you get the extra disc, which has rarities, outtakes, and alternate mixes, as well as a disc that has the live show at the Intermedia Theater in New York in 1978. And then the Blu-ray has a Atmos mix, just like the 77 set does, which is really nice. It's also in 5.1 if you don't have Atmos set up. It's got that part of that live show that's on the disc. It also has the Live at Sproul Plaza, Berkeley, California, 1978, which I was privileged to be at. Great show. It's nice to have that finally available on disc. A lot of the material here is previously unreleased, not all of it. Oh, by the way, I did save my hype sticker for this as well. I just haven't taken it off and put it on the rear of the rear panel that has all the songs on it. So this is highly recommended, even though I docked it a star for the mastering by Ted Jensen, which I think could be better, and I wish that Talking Heads would get their hearing checked if they're thinking that this makes things sound better. It doesn't. So there's another set that came out with the re-release of Stop Making Sense, and that, of course, is Stop Making Sense. This is a expanded edition of the album. It was previously expanded for CD. This set has a Blu-ray that has a high-res Atmos mix, as well as a 5.1, and it has a 2 CD set that has additional tracks on it. It's also got a replica of the original booklet that was included with the album, as well as with the CD, although it's bigger here, obviously. I really, really dislike the cardboard packaging on this. I get why they did it. It was to save space and save money. But honestly, I'm a bigger fan of having these books that are a little more solid and that you can put on a shelf. I also like to go back periodically and peruse and look at the photos, etc. In there in the comments. It's kind of nice sometimes to read that material while you're listening to an album. But the photos in here are not as copious as the other box sets. It just mimics the original release. So there's also this. So we're having a real renaissance right now with releases from the Talking Heads, which is really nice. Again, the mastering is an issue. Ted Jensen is a great mastering engineer. I know that he's doing what his clients want, which is in this case Talking Heads, and he's their preferred mastering engineer. I just really wish that the band would consider dynamics with this. It's one thing to have a hard-hitting album, but it's another thing where you can turn up the volume and you don't lose the dimensionality of the music, and also some of the other qualities that dynamics provide. Because once that dynamic is gone, you can't recreate it. There's no way to do that. Now, I didn't notice that there were a lot of clipped peaks here, but again, it is pretty compressed. I'll have to go back and look at the waveforms again because I don't remember seeing that many of them, but I only played one disc looking at it to see what it looked like versus what it sounded like. To my ears, it sounds pretty good, but not great. And it could sound great if we went with full throttle dynamics with this. So just keep that in mind if you're a fan. On another note, because Robert Fripp played with Talking Heads, new Brian Eno, we also have the deluxe edition of the complete recordings for the albums I Advanced Masked and also Bewitched that Andy Summers and Robert Fripp made together in the early 80s. Both of these albums did surprisingly well for instrumental albums. The first one did better than the second one. And there's more Robert on the first one than there is on the second one, as Robert himself points out, because he wasn't available. However, both of these are excellent. They both collaborate on the composition of the songs. Their guitar playing and interplays were very nice on this, as on the original CDs, which I still have. I also have the vinyl somewhere as well. I don't have the vinyl release of this, which has the remixes. These are all remixed for the album, so I don't know how that compares to the original vinyl. I will say I think the remixes that are done here are very done with subtlety, and there's not a huge amount of differences that I could note in the mixes when I compared them head to head. Some subtle differences, but not a huge amount. David Singleton, who works with Robert Fripp, did the remixes on this. And of course, it also has a Blu-ray that has all 3 albums on it, both in stereo as well as in surround sound mixes at $24.96. It also has a audio documentary called Can We Record Tony on it, which is also, by the way, on one of the CDs, the 3rd CD, which is included here, called Mother Hold the Candle Steady, which is outtakes from the sessions. Each disc also has additional outtakes and alternate takes on them. It's a nice expanded set. If you like the instrumental ambient music that Andy and Robert produced together, you'll enjoy this set. Keep in mind, though, if you haven't purchased it before, that this was recorded in the early 80s, and some of the choices on drums, etc., are of their time in terms of the production choices. So finally, we're going to jump to a completely different artist here, which is Pete Townshend. This is the complete concerts from 1985 through 2001. This was released by Universal. The discs were made in Germany. This is a nice set with some caveats. I'm going to go with the things that are nice about it first. Well, first off, John Astley did the remastering. John Astley got a bad rap early in his career as a mastering engineer because he tended to use a lot of compression. Sometimes also when he would go back and do some remixes for the band, some elements were missing as well. All of that earned him a nickname that I don't think is deserved now, of Ghastly Astley, because again, the mastering just wasn't very good. Now on this set, he's done a pretty good job of mastering these. It's nice because it covers a variety of concerts, including the Brooklyn Academy, the Fillmore, a show that I was fortunate enough to be at, although I'm not sure, because I think my memory's kind of hazy on this. I think he played multiple shows for that, and I'm sure somebody will correct me in the comments. It's been, or was, to the shows. I can't remember if there was multiple shows, but I seem to think there was, like with Tom Petty, though not quite as many as Tom Petty. I was at one of the shows. I don't know if that show is represented here. I don't have the ticket stub anymore. My memory is about as foggy as you can imagine, because again, this happened in the 80s. There's also a show at Sadler's Wells, also 2 shows at the La Jolla Playhouse. All of them are excellent shows. The caveat with this set is that the masters, the glass masters that were produced, had some flaws in them. There are a couple of tracks, I think that I counted 3 tracks that had skips or flaws in them, or pops. And Universal really should have gone back and done a replacement campaign for those and gotten them to the consumers. I realize we're not in the prime time anymore for physical music, but there still is a responsibility that when you sell a product, that it's a good product, and then when there's a flaw, you fix it. So it's a pity that lemon laws don't apply to music as well. This is handsomely packaged. It's a hard case, very thick. Each individual set, there's no Blu-rays, no high-res, but the individual CDs are in individual gatefold sleeves with individual cardboard holders. As many of you Pete fans are aware, Pete released this on his website in a limited edition. I don't recall off the top of my head if those had the same problems as this set. I think they may have, and they did a replacement campaign for those, I think. Don't quote me on that. But it's also got a very handsome book as well. It's got some photos from the various shows. It's got an essay from Pete and from Matt Kent discussing the various shows. It's a nice set to have if you're a Pete Townshend fan, if you like his solo career. I really would wish, though, that in the future, Universal, when they put these sets out, they do better quality control. Just as an aside, quality control has become an issue with both vinyl and CD. Over the last decade, it's continued to not be corrected. I don't know if that's because of a lack of quality control in-house when they're not reviewing the materials before they release them, or they find them and decide to release them anyway, figuring that it's not worth the expense and that most people won't complain that much about it. Given that streaming has taken over the marketplace for the most part, I can see why they don't want to spend the money that they might have done back when Ice Magazine was around and would report issues like this. Nevertheless, I do think it's their responsibility to sell a good, solid product that's well made. Even with some of the vinyl reissues that I've had of late, particularly that were made in the Czech Republic, there's issues with non-fill, there's issues with surface noise, some of them are warped. Again, vinyl is even more sensitive to manufacturing issues, I think, than CDs are, although I have gotten some warped CDs as well. There was that whole notorious campaign for Richard and Linda Thompson's box set that had all their albums where they had to do a complete replacement for all the discs because supposedly the discs were slightly warped. I don't know if that's true. I think it was a problem with the glass mastering again. So they did do a replacement for that, which was really nice. But again, it's incumbent on the labels. If they sell you a product, do the right thing, do the follow-up, go ahead and make replacements available out there for those people that spent their good hard money with this. This set, by the way, is probably only available on eBay right now. I'm not sure if it's still in stock. It ran out of stock at Amazon Import CDs and a number of other retailers for quite some time. Eventually it did come back into stock again. I was hoping that they would fix that. I ordered another set after they came back in stock and checked it out, and it had they used the same glass masters. So they clearly know about the problem because there have been complaints floated up to the organization, not by me, but by others. And, it would be nice if they had fixed that problem. So anyhow, to do a summary here, the Talking Heads, 4 stars for both releases. I docked it a star for the mastering. It's not super compressed. We're not talking about DRs, dynamic ranges at 5 or 3. It's higher. It's in the 7s, 8s, and 9s. Although there was one track that was around a 6. Nevertheless, if you're sensitive to compression, bear that in mind. You might want to go out and try to find some vinyl that's been reissued. I don't have the vinyl reissues for these if they're out there as of yet. So I can't compare them or complain or provide any sort of clarity on that. The packaging is nice for all of those. I give the packaging 3 stars for the Stop Making Sense release. I wish it was a hardcover book set up just like the other one. The other 2, the 77, as well as the more songs about building some food, which is probably the best designed of all 3 of those sets that have come out over the recent year and a half. Let's see. I do wish that the Andy Summer and Robert Fripp one was better designed. I hate the fact that the discs are slide-ins. The booklet, I dislike the fact that the booklet is actually on the first page of this multifold holder. It's glued to it. Not a fan of that. I'd rather have it tucked in somewhere myself. Those are all quibbles, though, that bother me. If they don't bother you, by all means, go out and check out these sets. The Summer set and Robert Fripp set is mastered pretty well. So is the Pete Townshend Live, even with those flaws. Bottom line here is I think that we are still in a golden age of getting materials with deluxe editions in terms of the actual material itself that we get for those artists that choose to release them. The downside of that is that the quality control has really bitten the dust for a lot of these. So bear that in mind. Thanks for joining me, and have a great one.